this sort of traditional ASMR video, sat in front of the Christmas tree talking about some Christmas memories and stuff. It was a lot of fun, so make sure you guys check that out. And yeah, I think that is everything. So let us get right into tonight's video. Alrighty. So most times we do videos like this where I talk about every NBA team. It's usually in alphabetical order, but this time it is just in order of, I guess, most successful. So again, in recent history, there have been a lot of really great teams. So you can probably guess some of the top 5 or 10 if you're really, I guess, super into the NBA and all that stuff. But the maybe more middle bottom half could be very interesting. So make sure you tune into the entire video to check it out and obviously see your team and where they rank. But pretty interesting here. The, I guess, bottom most successful team is actually maybe one of the best teams ever assembled in NBA history. But obviously a lot of injuries and stuff like that really get in their way. And it's actually a team that was in last year's NBA season 30th for NBA season records, you know, the best record in the team's history at 48-24. We have the 2020-2021 Brooklyn Nets. Yes, super crazy to think about. And I actually don't know if this is true or not. It's an article that was made this past summer, so it's pretty accurate, up to date, obviously. But you would think, and I actually don't know off the top of my head, the best record for the Nets, would that not be the, you know, Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, Richard Jefferson, Alex, Brooklyn Nets teams? Did they never make it past 48 wins? I guess not, because it says here it's their team's best record. But of course, last season, the first installment of James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, very important in sort of in their history. Probably, again, one of the best teams, if not maybe one of the most talented teams in NBA history. Obviously, not making it past the, you know, Milwaukee Bucks, the eventual NBA champions of last season. But I think we can all agree if that team was fully healthy, that team would just 4-0 sweep probably every team in the NBA. But wow, the best team in their franchise history. Obviously, talent-wise, yes, you could say that, but even record-wise, interesting. And obviously, last season was only a 72-game series. Season at 29. The next spot, we have a team that played in 1996-1997, had a record of 54-28. They are the Charlotte Hornets at 29-54-28. Not too bad. It says here that this is actually a pretty infamous season in the Charlotte Hornet, I guess, franchise, because that summer they actually traded away Kobe Bryant for Vlade Divac, which obviously maybe the biggest draft night trade in NBA history, because obviously that definitely would have changed a lot of things in the NBA's history. It says here that they also made it to the playoffs, but got swept in the first round to the New York Knicks. So obviously, again, not really having a lot of success. But man, the Charlotte Hornets this year definitely have a big chance of having a big splash. 28, we have at a team with 56 wins and 26 losses, just 2 wins better than the previous one. So obviously very close. Team that played in the year 2007-2008. It's the New Orleans Pelicans. Technically, the New Orleans Hornets. So it's the Hornets team. So me being someone getting into the NBA during the, you know, early 2010s, later 2000s, seeing prime Chris Paul play for the New Orleans Pelicans, I guess, Hornets. Oh my goodness, man! Like, again, maybe one of the smartest. Like, just he had the entire package. Definitely, maybe not as good of a shooter that he is nowadays, but man, still just as smart as he was back then. Because that's like what, like 13, 14 years ago, and still Chris Paul is just as, you know, crafty of a point guard. That's for sure. It says here, became a star. Chris Paul, as I'm saying, became a star in New Orleans in 2007, finishing only second in MVP voting. Also led their team to their only lone 50-win season, winning their first Northwest Division crown, which I guess I'm assuming this is because they played a partial of a season in Oklahoma because of Hurricane Katrina. So technically they shared the conference with the Northwest because they moved. So a lot of things moving out there. But yeah, they won Zebo, Zach Randolph, you have Marc Gasol, you have Mike Conley, you have Rudy Gay. Who else was on that team? I think Tony Allen was on that team. That team was like fully stacked of really solid role players. And even then, I mean, you could really argue Marc Gasol being a star, Mike Conley being sort of an up-and-coming star during that time as well. Even Rudy Gay, before he got really badly injured, he was definitely an up-and-coming, almost all-star type of player as well. So, dang, that's crazy. It says here, their best playoff finish in their team's history, finishing in the Western Conference Finals, but again, losing to guess who? The San Antonio Spurs. So, again, the Spurs halting another sort of young, up-and-coming team's, I guess, progression, and, man, that does suck. The Spurs, they were really squashing a lot of people in the West, that's for sure. At number 26, with a record of 57-25, so one win better, played also in the same year, 2012-2013. It's the Denver Nuggets. So even with an MVP and Nikola Jokic, haven't made it past their best season, 2012-2013. Let's see, Denver is not the only team on this list that set their franchise single season wins without a single All-Star on their roster. Man, that's pretty crazy. Or a player averaging 20 plus points. So they didn't have an All-Star. They also didn't even have a player averaging over 20 points per game. I think that might have been the year that they played. I think they had like Ty Laws, another team, Andre Iguodala. I think they had Gallinari still on their team. I think that also might have been with Kenneth Faried, was like also like an up-and-coming player. Man, that team was actually like, again, really loaded with like a bunch of solid NBA players. I remember people talking about Ty Laws and being like, again, like an up-and-coming all-star point guard, yada yada yada. But man, definitely pretty crazy. It's so windy outside. At 25, we have the Los Angeles Clippers at 57-25, so tying with the Denver Nuggets there. 1 year later, 2013-2014, this was obviously Lob City. LA Clippers, so Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. Literally, like, oh man, when I think about that team, that's like literally like my favorite era of basketball is like from like 2012 to like 2015, 16. Like that's just, I miss that era of basketball so much. Anyways, Lob City, one of my favorite teams ever assembled, that's for sure. In this season, the Los Angeles Clippers lost to Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference semifinals. So in the second round, they got bumped out. Man, that sucks. It's really interesting to see that every single team I'm reading off, this is their best season record-wise ever. And no one has won a title yet. That's really saying something, that it's actually really tough to be, you know, a top-tier team in the NBA and still winning a title. And that's why I feel like, you know, it's just because you're a 1 seed or even a 2 seed in the NBA doesn't mean anything, even with having home court, because, man, trying to keep up that level is so tough, and also carrying that into the playoffs, and then carrying that to, you know, a championship run. It's so tough to do. 24, we have a team that won a total of 58 wins, 24 losses, again, 1 win above the last one, the Clippers. 2003-2004, Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, the Minnesota Timberwolves have the 24th best record all time for a single season, and that's actually kind of impressive, but it's most impressive because, of course, they had prime MVP Kevin Garnett, and he actually had a pretty, you know, okay cast around him. I mean, obviously, the first name you can think of is Sam Cassell. I think it was also an all-star that year, wasn't he? Yeah, Sam Cassell made his only all-star appearance during this year. Obviously, Kevin Garnett winning the MVP. That's pretty crazy. They had the best record in the Western Conference, going all the way to the Western Conference Finals, but losing to, you could probably guess, early 2000s Western Conference. Kobe, Shaq, LA Lakers. So they made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals with just one superstar, one MVP, Kevin Garnett, and ended up losing to Kobe and Shaq. Man, that's pretty sad. At number 23, with a record of 59-23, a team, again, a recent one, 2017-2018, we have the Toronto Raptors. Yes, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, that whole squad in Toronto. was definitely the guy that really sort of, again, halted that really good team that honestly probably should have won a title in the 90s for sure. Obviously, if with Michael Jordan being there, didn't happen. Number 21, we have the Washington Wizards. Tying the same record at 16-22, all the way back in the year 1974, 1975. So obviously the Knicks' first time was 1969, but at least they did it again in the 90s. The Wizards haven't gotten that close, it seems, still since 1974, 1975. This team had Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld as well. But if we're talking about like big dynamic duos, man, Elvin Hayes and Wes Unseld, that was just that's a crazy dynamic duo. But the Wizards, dang, I wonder what their second best record was. I don't know, it probably would be in the John Wall, Bradley Beal era, I would assume. I think they got close to 50 at some point, or above 50, if I can remember. Next up at the 20th spot, we have the Orlando Magic going at 60-22, with their best record being in 1995, 1996. Penny Shaq, Orlando Magic, again, one of my favorite teams all time. This Shaquille O'Neal is also maybe my favorite version of Shaq because, man, if you look at young Shaq, he was just an athletic god. I mean, of course, his prime in LA was completely dominant because of how big and strong he was, but the more slimmed down, rim-running Shaq is, I think, might be my favorite version of Shaq for sure. This was actually Shaquille O'Neal's last season in Orlando as well, so, I mean, definitely a good little way to end off your tenure at Somewhere's, pretty much breaking their record for the best record they've ever had in their franchise's history. But then the following year, he went to LA, where he would become a superstar. At 19, we have the Atlanta Hawks at 60-22. That is the 60-win Atlanta Hawk team that played in 2014, 2015. Man, do I remember this team. Again, my favorite era of NBA basketball. I remember the buzz around this team during this time, and that this team could take down LeBron in the first year back in Cleveland. And they ended up losing and getting swept, actually, by LeBron and that Cleveland Cavaliers team in the Eastern Conference Finals. So again, this team just had so much hype built around it and just came tumbling down when, again, coming up against LeBron James, which we've heard that story before with, again, the Toronto Raptors, which is actually kind of sad, man. LeBron, that boy was just dominating the East for years, and this team had 4 All-Stars: Al Horford, Joe Johnson, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver as well, right? Yeah, Paul Millsap. Oh no, I said Joe Johnson. I meant Paul Millsap. Joe Johnson was never an All-Star on that team, really. Well, it's kind of sad. Well, anyway, number 19, we actually have the Sacramento Kings at number 18, going 61-21 in the year 2001, 2002. So, if you want to think of like the best Kings team, of course you got to think about Vlade Divac, Chris Webber, Mike Bibby, right? This is the Mike Bibby one, right? Yeah, Mike Bibby. Peja Stojakovic, oh my god, that is just a crazy, crazy, crazy team. He actually ended up being the best record in the NBA during that year, but fell in the Western Conference Finals to the LA Lakers. I think that was the, like, super controversial Western Conference Finals with, like, obviously the referees and all that stuff. That was, jeez, that must have been a dumpster fire to sort of live through that whole entire situation. It would have been cool to see a team in Sacramento win an NBA title, because obviously Kings don't really have, the best market, I guess, for being a team to win a title. This was definitely their best chance of ever winning a title, maybe in their team's history. Who knows how close they'll get again. But at 17, we have the 61-21 Indiana Pacers in the year 2003, 2004. This was actually the end of Reggie Miller's career. Ron Artest won Defensive Player of the Year, and Jermaine O'Neal on that team as well was an NBA All-Star. That's pretty crazy. The Pacers lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games to the eventual NBA champions, the Detroit Pistons. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I keep forgetting that Ron Artest won Defensive Player of the Year, and that Jermaine O'Neal is an All-Star. Man. I mean, obviously, in the year 2000, talent in the NBA definitely isn't as stretched out and deep as it is nowadays, but Jermaine O'Neal definitely wasn't no scrub, but I don't know if being an All-Star is a great thing. Number 16, we have the Phoenix Suns going on a record of 62 wins and 20 losses in the year 1992, 1993, but also, again, tying that record in the year 2004, 2005, so 92 and 93. That was the year they made it to the NBA Finals Antonio Spurs. At number 15, right dead center in the middle, we have the Portland Trail Blazers going 63-19 in the year 1990-1991. Wow. I think this might have been the year that Portland lost. Yeah, it says here the Portland Trail Blazers lost to the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. This was the first year Michael Jordan won his first NBA title against that Laker team. The Blazers actually, have been talking about this, if the Blazers actually made it past the Lakers, which obviously they didn't, but if they did, people are saying Portland maybe could have beaten the Chicago Bulls team. Probably not, but they said that the Blazers just were a better matchup against the Bulls during this time period. But man, Blazers 63 wins. That's pretty sad. The year prior, Portland made it to the finals, lost to the Pistons. They almost made it to the finals this year, lost to the Lakers. They made it to the finals the next year, but lost to the Chicago Bulls. So that 3-year span of Portland, super dominant in the West, but just didn't have enough. That's pretty sad. At 14, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, aka we have the Seattle Supersonics in the year 1995-1996. This is also the year they made it to the NBA Finals. Ended up losing to the Chicago Bulls, but Gary Payton, you have Sean Kemp, you have the crazy shooting of Delph Shrimp, however you pronounce that guy's name. Definitely a pretty crazy team. And then you also had Nate McMillan and a lot of other really good role players surrounding them. Man, that team was again a running and gunning team. Very fun to watch. Obviously, the high flying, crazy dunks of Sean Kemp. That's a very fun team. At 13, we have the Utah Jazz going 64-18. The records are just getting crazy sounding now. 64 wins, 18 losses in the year 96-97. Again, losing to Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. That's pretty crazy. It was actually their second 60-win campaigning season. That's pretty crazy. And again, another team that in NBA history is just so crazy how they didn't win a title. It's so sad. That team definitely probably could have won 2 titles in their prime, because man, the peaks of John Stockton and Karl Malone, and how deep that team was too, with a great coach. Oh my goodness, that team. Really sad. Number 12, we have the Detroit Pistons, all the way up there at number 12, going. I didn't even know this. Detroit Pistons, 64-18 in the year 2005-2006. Really, 2005? Wow. 64 wins. That's pretty crazy. It says here they finished with the best record in the NBA. Obviously, I would hope, with obviously Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, all being all-stars, four all-stars there. It's pretty crazy. It says here though that they actually ended up losing in the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games to the Miami Heat, and I think that's the year Miami wins it all, right? They played the Dallas Mavericks, and that's when, Shaq's on that team, Dwayne Wade's on that team. Wow, I didn't know that Heat team actually beat this team. I never knew that. Number 11, we have a team, again, pretty recent, 2017 and 2018, having a record of 65-17. The Houston Rockets. Wow. This is the Chris Paul, James Harden one, and this is the one that actually, this is the team that should have won a title that year. I don't know how they ended up losing to the Golden State Warriors. That was a pretty thrown away, I guess, opportunity at James Harden winning his first ever NBA championship, and also for Chris Paul as well. That team just, I don't know. It just didn't happen. That's all I can say. They had a chance and it just didn't happen. It's really sad, but man, that was the year also. I think James Harden won his first ever MVP. I think it was that year. Number 10 is actually the Milwaukee Bucks, but no, it's not the Giannis-led Milwaukee Bucks. It's actually the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar-led Milwaukee Bucks in the year 1970-1971. This was actually the first year that the Milwaukee Bucks added not only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is only his second year in the NBA, with NBA Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson. That's pretty crazy. So in their first year, I guess, together, they ended up going 66-16, winning an NBA championship. Kareem also earned his first of 6 NBA MVP awards. Wow. And let me see, that might be one So again, another team that had their best record in their franchise history, but also winning a title, which, as of reading this list, is actually kind of rare to find. Number 7, we have the Dallas Mavericks winning 67 games and 15 losses in the year 2006, 2007. And if you don't know the backstory to this team, this is a team that had the number 1 seed in the NBA Western Conference and losing to the first round of the We Believe Warriors, led by, oh man, Steven Jackson, Baron Davis. Man, who else was on that team? That team was actually, teams out of the 30 we've talked about had an amazing record, but also winning an NBA title. So definitely one thing you definitely need to look at. But yeah, I mean, of course, this arguably is also one of the best teams in NBA history, guys. That is going to be it for me. So hopefully you guys had a good relaxing time